questions for the bottom 10 teams yesterday. We went through those. We've got now questions. I've spent enormous amount of work and time on these questions. So you want me to start with the Bulldogs or am I working way up from the Bulldogs up to the top? I'll start with the Bulldogs.
Yep.
Have they got the balance right? When I look at their recruiting, so from a forward line point of view, potentially they have Norton, they have Ugle-Hagan, they have Darcy, they have Bruce, and they've added Lobb. Is that balanced?
Doesn't seem so on paper, does it? You question whether they have plans for Darcy to play back and whether they think he's going to be there for 10 years and play that role, because I'm not sure how they all fit in. They have the best young spine and most exciting spine in the game. And give
me the spine.
Well, Norton and Ugle-Hagan, in terms of the spine, I'm talking key position players. You got one of the two playing centre-half forward. Darcy at centre-half back, I would have thought. Lobb's going to be in there as well. You got Bontempelli in the middle. It's frightening.
You're going a bit over the top.
No,
it's not the best spine in the competition.
Who has a better young and more exciting spine?
Young.
Well, exciting is in terms of the future of what they can do.
No, there is, and Sam Darcy looks like we've only seen him for 4 games, but he looks like he's going to be able to play. Ugle-Hagan's got to find the consistency, but yes, look better as the season wore on. So maybe, would you be throwing Norton? Is he the potential one to go back or not?
We speak about it a lot. I don't think they will make that call now. I think Darcy would be the one to go back.
So Liam Jones will hold down the spot in defence?
Well, they explained that pretty well, I thought, Sam Power, after the trade period. He said, look, clearly are excited about the future, but those young players need some support now. And that's where the Jones and the Lobb ones come in. So I did think they explained that. Are they a motivated, hungry group, is my question. It's the Carlton one. They want for nothing on their list. But there's the intangible. Are they professional enough? I don't know. I hear things about the Western Bulldogs.
2 words. Josh Dunkley.
You hear that, don't you?
Well, why? Why does Josh Dunkley want... Why was he desperate to get out 2 years ago and desperate again? And you can say, I want to live in Brisbane. Well, he didn't. 2 years ago, he didn't. 2 years ago, he wanted to live 20 minutes down the road at Essendon. I don't know either. Everyone hears the same sort of stuff, but it's the challenge now for Luke. And... is to get this group back, and if there are any issues there, culturally or otherwise, then I know they deny it. But I'd love to put the lasso of truth around Josh Dunkley.
So would I. They can win a premiership next year, provided that those things sort themselves out. Did Richmond finish 7th? I guess they did.
Yep.
Does Dustin Martin want to play?
Good. That's a good question, and it's not even a criticism of Dusty. It's just a good, legitimate question that I would imagine Dustin, again, I haven't spoken to him, I don't think, for 10 years, but it's probably one he's asked himself as he's gone through all the heartache of losing his dad and all the other stuff that goes on around him. When you got, and this is where we can't, or you're better placed than me, but when you got 3 premierships and 3 Norm Smith medals with those premierships in your back pocket, then yes, and it becomes, okay, all of the demands that come with it, and we know that he's not all that comfortable in the spotlight. I hope he does. The answer is I hope he does. There were times this year where it looked like he didn't, just from a motivational point of view. But we'll see. Maybe a summer off and a bit of time away. I'll give you one back. Was the Jack Revolt decision for him to go on the right one?
I was okay with that one. I was questioning Cochin. I thought perhaps 2 years too long for Trent, and his form was reasonable this year. Doesn't impact games, though, and you add the 2 midfielders that you add that play the exact same role that Trent Cochin does, then I think that's going to be a bit of an issue for them this year.
Wiedering, Young, Walsh, Curnow, Mackay. That's I'll come off the old temper text.
It's a better spine. Yeah, probably. Well, they're not young, though. I mean, Curnow would be 26, 27
Walsh,
now, wouldn't
young.
he? Walsh is young.
Yeah, a bit more
Wiedering.
Young might have got you out of trouble there.
27.
Brisbane, have they addressed their biggest issues? They've had a very good trade period. Very good trade period. Do you think they've addressed the issues that have them just coming up short?
And those issues would be, are the key forwards, the 2 key forwards that are going to do what you said yesterday and just love having the 2 there in Mackay and Curnow and Hawkins and Cameron, is Hipwood and Danaher the 2 that are going to take you to a premiership? I don't know. That's a legitimate question, and from what we've seen on big games, probably not. They've been sporadic players that have all the talent but haven't got you there. Gunston definitely helps, and their small forwards are, I'm going to say, the best in the game. I think their crop of small forwards are the best, but do they have the power forwards to win you a premiership is a legitimate question.
Yeah, I think another area which is a little intangible is their running ability. I know it sounds really funny, but no one knows your team like no one knows a team like your own team, and that's what John Brown talks about all the time. Is their capacity to cover the ground, and Lachie Neale is as good as anyone in that field. But who around him in that midfield? You know, Rayner hasn't established himself. Lions could run hard, but dropped out towards the end.
McCluggage is a runner. Does he go both ways? I think that's a reasonable question to ask.
And even you can extend it into your forward group. So, you know, we saw how Geelong's half forwards get high and back, and Melbourne's, when they won, got high and back. You know, does Charlie do that enough? Does McCarthy get up and back enough? So I think they're questions. I think they've done really well from, you know, strengthening up in the middle of the ground, and it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds.
Good questions. To Fremantle, who kicks the goals? Who kicks the goals at the Dockers? Lobb is out. He's been their most damaging key forward. Taberner is 30 and injured. Fife, who knows? But he's capable of kicking perhaps 30 or 40. And Luke Jackson's not a forward.
No, so Joey Amos is one that they have put a fair bit of faith in, and has shown. I really liked little bits of what I saw, but it's only little bits. So let's hope that he can have a summer and get through. I think that's it. That's the question. Their backline's really good. Their midfield's, you know, continuing to develop. My question for you on the back of that is, where will Luke Jackson finish in their best and fairest?
8th.
It's 100,000 a position. We know why he's got the money. You get it on potential, and he's got enormous potential. But his back half of the year was disappointing from his own point of view. But he's back home now, no excuses. I wonder, you know, when you get to the back half of next year, whether getting on the plane and flying back and forward, as you would know. So interesting for Freo.
Will they make a call on the captaincy? I think they will. Brayshaw will take over
I reckon.
from Fife.
Well, that's for next week. I was going to bring that up. There's about 6 to 8 captains we could have a genuine conversation about. Let's go to we got Collingwood next. Yeah. Second year blue, not second year blues. Honeymoon period is real in footy, I reckon. Coaches, and I think Craig McRae's just been so refreshing and magnificent. The challenges will come next year, and it's how you deal with them when everything is upbeat and everything's great, and this is not a criticism either. This is a credit to them. Now when the challenges come, when a player doesn't get a game and gets a bit shirty, will this thing hold together?
No doubt about it. And I had the same thing. Do they think it is just going to roll on? You have a shorter pre-season. The opposition start to work out your strengths and weaknesses, how you play. They come to shut you down with more focus. There's been some changes, some significant ones in and amongst the dressing room with the trade period, and Grundy goes out. Is there questions over the ruck? Tom Mitchell comes in. The dynamic of all of that. These are definite, legitimate questions. Players that had really good years, do they sit back and get a little bit comfortable with what they've delivered, and they've got a big profile? I mean, they haven't achieved anything, and they must realise that. You've achieved nothing.
And when you keep winning in the manner that they did, it doesn't hide any, it shouldn't hide any sins, because there will be some problems there that they're going to have to deal with as well. And then, you know, in your second year, a player who in the first year is happy to try and impress the coach, and he's just doing everything he can. He might just be missing out, and then the second year, then there's a bit of disgruntlement, and then there's this and that. And they're all the things that start to kick in. People wonder why, you know, is the second year tougher? Well, this is the challenge. But Craig McRae gives every indication that he's got it right at the moment. Sydney, Logan and Franklin is the question I've got. So Logan is the future, Buddy is the everything. I don't know. Every time I shouldn't say every time. I watched Logan play, Logan McDonald I'm talking about, and when Buddy's not there, he looks to me to say, okay, Bud's not here, I need to be the man, I'll present. They played Melbourne at the MCG this year. Halfway through the year, he played a fantastic game. He was invested, he was involved, he was at contests. I don't know if he defers to Bud or not, or whether Bud takes up a massive space. But can they work together?
Is it in the best interests of Sydney's future to have Buddy Franklin there for the majority of games this year? Was the exact question, and we haven't conversed with our questions here. They sign him, so they'll have to play him. I mean, Buddy Franklin's not going to play in the NEAFL, is he? So Logan McDonald may have to be patient or force his way in and take Reed's spot. Reed's grand final was disappointing. He's injured, and he often gets injured. So perhaps it's the Reed spot for Logan McDonald, and this conversation won't happen. He is one of the more fascinating players to watch next year, Franklin. He's beaten badly in the finals, and when he's beaten badly, his body language and attitude, I think, filters through the whole of the team because of who he is.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge for him.
Yeah, they were all beaten badly. And
Two finals, though. The Buddy's final series, the one against May, was bad as well.
Yeah, he got beaten by a better player. On that day, yeah, I think you have Buddy in for 15 games. You're hoping to get 15 games out of him, and hoping that in amongst the 15 are 2 or 3 big finals. That's what you're hoping, and then McDonald will get his chance. But then it's up to Logan. You don't get in as a rite of passage, and you certainly won't be bumping up a Hall of Fame, maybe legend, just because he's there. You've got to earn it. You can shove him out by virtue of your performance, but that's the challenge for him.
And Logan McDonald, the style that he plays, I mean, it'd be well worth looking at Hawkins or speaking to Tom Hawkins about, do I get leaner? Do I try and work on my power? Is my aerobic base good enough to get up the ground and get back? Because he's not just going to stand there and take contested marks. And the Cats, I was going to mention Selwood, but we'll save that for next week. But I guess the exit of Joel Selwood and the influential figure he has been at Geelong, him leaving, there's not an obvious successor for Joel, but the impact of such a big figure leaving that footy club.
Yeah, I think we might. Tom Stewart doesn't come to front of mind straight away, but those down at Geelong, it does. So maybe us on the outside don't quite appreciate how significant Tom Stewart is he's in the leadership group clearly, and you could go to Danger and you wouldn't lose much, and you could go to Tom and you wouldn't lose much. But I think Tom Stewart looms as someone that might be able to step in and take that on, and they won't miss a beat. I can't see them.
Are we talking dynasty here? I mean, they had one, and what is it? What is a dynasty in AFL?
Well, I think back-to-back these days is extraordinarily hard. I just think anyone goes back-to-back's a dynasty enough for me, and they could, no problem. The Demons, are they the only one we've got left?
Oh, we missed them, didn't we? Yeah.
So this is my question I want answered. Can Harrison Petty be Aaron Norton?
We've seen it once, haven't we?
That's right.
We went late.
That's right.
Well, it's worth a pre-season. Absolutely.
We got this little tiny glimpse. And for 4 minutes, every Melbourne supporter went, that's the bloke that we've been looking for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I think he'll get a chance too, but I don't think they're wedded to it by any stretch. They love the fact that he's been in the back half and, so good back there. But it's the area where they're most vulnerable, and he could be the answer. Yeah, and Joel Smith could be the man who covers it, or
Tomlinson's there as well. So the obvious question is the Gawn and Grundy one, but how they kick their goals, can they score a different way if it's not centre bounce, if it's not intercepting across half back? Can they score a different way? So the Brains Trust will get to work and try and create a formula that they can score other ways.